With me now, Anushka Mutunda-Dougherty, BBC journalist and host of the Diddy on Trial podcast, defense attorney Misty Marris, and former Manhattan prosecutor Jeremy Saland, all with me here this evening. It's been 7 weeks. The jury is going to get it on Monday, and then we can stop trying to guess what they're thinking and maybe know through a verdict. But Misty, let me begin with you because you are often my glance I exchange with during the trial. Did the defense's closing argument, did it give some reasonable doubt for the jury?
Well, the defense really tried to focus on this being criminalizing Combs' private life, even saying that this is putting crime scene tape around your bedroom. They tried to focus on this is an alternative lifestyle, but these were personal yet tumultuous relationships, and they don't rise to that level of criminal conduct. But Laura, I'll tell you, one of the looks I gave you was when Mark Agnifilo called Cassie and Combs a modern-day love story. Yeah. So I think in some instances, look, I get the point, but it did go a bridge too far in some of that, really kind of over-the-top language.
That's the risk for, when you have anything in absolutes or try to test the smell test, and anytime a juror is kind of going, what? That's a problem for you. But then there was a moment where Mark Agnifilo called out Combs' accusers, talking about free will. And Anushka, I wonder what you think of this, because he was talking about regret and resentment as this tandem, and essentially saying, if somebody has done you wrong and you have had no part in it, you would never regret it because it's never your fault. But if you regret it, it means that you made a decision and now you are wishing you made a different one. And that's where he says these accusers are. How did that play?
Well, look, Mark Agnifilo is engaging in world building, but he's also introducing scenarios and he's setting the rules in the courtroom. He's just said, this means this means this. I mean, the jury don't have to sit there and say, yes, I'm going to take that word as the law. They can say, you can regret things that somebody else forced you into. And I think it allows people to say, well, actually, I'm not going to take what you've told me. But he is doing what he needs to do, which is pick away at the narrative that was presented for the past 7 weeks by the prosecution. And part of that is introducing new ways for them to think about what's happened and the evidence that they're being presented. And I mean, I'm not the expert on this, but they didn't present a defense. So he had a lot to do today. He had a lot to chip away at. And I think when he was doing things like that, he was saying, here's an avenue of thought that you could pursue, and here is what you're going to arrive at.
Will these jurors drive down that avenue?
They found themselves in an interesting spot, they meaning the defense. They're in that position where it's you have to admit what you can't deny and deny what you can't admit. And when you start going down some of the roads, like we just heard about a modern love affair, a modern relationship, that these men were paid for their time, not sex, you start to chip away at your own credibility. And if you chip away at your own credibility, that's going to adversely impact your client. But you have to work with what you have. So you're going to just concede that there was, for example, the prostitution across state lines. Well, you're guaranteeing yourself potentially up to 10 years in prison. And if you admit to that, are you opening the door for the other charges? So, I think the jury's going to have a difficult time with the conspiracy for RICO. To Mark's point, Mark Agnifilo's point, this is a conspiracy for one. We didn't have co-defendants charged in this fraud and this scheme, assuming that there is a criminal enterprise. But I still think his exposure is very real and something much easier lift for them, seeing all this physical abuse, seeing the imagery, that they can get to that sex trafficking and certainly the transportation charge.
I'm going to do a quick rundown. I want each of you to tell me what is the one thing you want the jurors to be mulling over for the next 48 hours before they go back to deliberate? Have you thought about it?
Whose side? Mulling over in terms of for the prosecution side?
Sure, quick.
For the prosecution side, yes. This was an organized effort by Sean Combs, and whether or not he was the principal of it, and that's why they removed the attempted aiding and abetting for the sex trafficking, whether or not he was a principal, he was working with these other people in his organization to secure these prostitutes and do so by force and coercion and all of the threats and violence.
If I'm the defense, I want them to be thinking about the story that was told today. That was a narrative. Prosecution was clinical, stood behind a podium. Today we heard a story about these relationships and about how all of the employees who are these co-conspirators, forced labor, there's nobody at this table but Sean Combs. I would want the jury to be thinking about my tale that I told in court today.
I'd want them to apply their knowledge of intimate relationships that they have in the real world and think about what he knew, could have known or should have known, and look at the text messages, and then also think about relationships that they've been in and interpersonal connections they've made, and try and apply some of that common sense and everyday experience. That's why we have a jury in the first place.
Common sense, a dangerous thing. Unless it helps you. Thank you so much, everyone.